Folks, we're trying something a little different here today on the BSH YouTube channel. We're going to have a little debate. Generally, most of the people at BSH agree on a lot of things. Way too many things do we agree upon on this channel. So we wanted to inject a little bit, just a little bit of disagreement into things. And that is what BSH Debates is all about. First debate today, we're talking about a topic that's near and dear to our hearts. We're going to start with a real hot topic for the Flyers heading into the regular season, and that is, should Jett Luchanko start the 2025-26 season in the OHL or the NHL? Because he can't start in the AHL. We'd all love if he could just go to the Phantoms, but it's just not an option, folks. So debating today, we've got two people, two wonderful podcasters from Broad Street Hockey. We have Ryan Gilbert and Joe DeMarini over here talking puck with me. And the way this is going to work, these two are going to argue their side of the agreement. Okay. They're each going to get 5 minutes. Okay. To state their case. Gilbs is in favor of Jett starting the season in the NHL. Joe thinks Jett should do another year in prison in the OHL. And I'm here as the person they need to convince because I'm undecided on the OHL NHL debate for Jett. I can see both sides of the issue. Okay, both sides. That's me today. And they got to convince me. So they're all going to get 5 minutes. After that, I'll make my decision on who I agree with more and who won the argument, because isn't that what online sports arguments are all about? Aren't they? And the last thing, and the most important thing of all, I, Steve, decide the winning argument. Okay, that ends all discussion across all of the internet. Okay, it is decreed. My gavel will come down, and it's a great power to have. Okay, it's a wonderful power, the best power. I get to decide the correct opinion on this topic, and that's just what everyone has to believe. So if somebody tries to bring it up next week, well, where should Jett Luchanko play this year? Everyone just point to the video and say, no, sorry, buddy. Steve already decided the correct opinion, so we have to believe what he decided. He is the decider, the arbiter. It's great like that. Yeah. So we ready, folks? We ready, fellas?
Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to flip a coin, a virtual coin, to see what goes first. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, flip that coin.
Heads, shreds.
So your heads and Gilbs, your tails?
I get all the tail.
Well, I get to choose.
Well, guess what? Tails never fails, because head shreds is something fake that Joe made up. It was tails, and Gilbs gets to go first here.
Do I get to go first, or do I get to choose my position?
Oh, you get to choose, actually. Yeah, let's go with that.
You know what? I'm going to be very gracious to my Broad Street Hockey podcast co-host. Joe, can take the floor here.
All right.
All right.
Joe, you have 5 minutes.
Okay. So, Jett Luchanko, he surprised us all when he made the team last year. That's very cool. That's very unique. Only 2 players made the NHL out of camp last year, him and Macklin Celebrini. But now we're a year later. There's a new coaching staff, and Danny Briere went out this offseason and shored up the center position at the NHL level. He signed Christian Dvorak, traded for Trevor Zegras. There's no need to rush Jett Luchanko into the NHL at this point. Last year, they were healthy scratching Noah Cates to let Luchanko play in the NHL. The coach, John Tortorella, hated Sean Couturier, which is baffling in its own right. But this year, you've got Christian Dvorak, who was a Tocchet player before. Noah Cates established himself as a very good NHL center. And then you've got Zegras and Couturier. There's no need for Luchanko to be pushing for one of those roster spots. I know you could move Cates or Dvorak to the wing, but to what end? There's no way that Luchanko is going to stick beyond the 9-game call-up. And that's a problem because last year he moved around so much. He started the season with the Flyers, got sent down to the OHL. Then he went over to play for the World Juniors Canada team. Then he went back to the OHL. Then he finished the season with the Phantoms. Like, that's a lot of different teams and movement and systems and structures for a player to go through in a single season. I would rather him just go to the OHL to begin with and get himself settled and have a good, long, productive year there. And if the Guelph Storm are out of the playoffs early, he can just go back to the Phantoms like he did last season, play out those games and into the playoffs. Or maybe he gets traded mid-season to a better OHL team because they stripped the C from Luchanko this summer and handed it to another player. So either they're not expecting him to be on the team at some point, or they're expecting to trade him. Maybe, who knows? Um, but yeah, I don't see a purpose to bringing Jett Luchanko up to the NHL, even if it is just for a couple games as a pat on the back for a camp well done, because he'd have to do well in camp. And if you look at how he's been playing this camp, it's been okay. His underlying stats are a little bit better than they were in last year's preseason, but he's still struggling to score. He doesn't seem to be, you know, carrying the puck the way we want him to. There's still so many elements of his game that need to develop, and I think that the OHL is the best place for him to do it, and not getting rotated out on the third and fourth line in the NHL.
Joe has said his piece on the matter. So, Joe, thank you for the argument. Made some compelling points in there, but I got to hear the other side. I got to hear what Ryan Gilbert's got to say. Gilbs, what do you got for me?
Yeah, we saw Jett Luchanko start the season with the Flyers last year. May have been John Tortorella saying, all right, this is what I got. This is what I'm going to use. He didn't give me anything. But yeah, got Christian Dvorak, got Trevor Zegras in the offseason. But you're not moving Dvorak to wing. He's on the wing. He's on the wing with Zegras and Michkov here in training camp. Looks like that's what we're going to go for. And Jett Luchanko, we saw what he can do in the OHL. 21 goals last year, 20 goals a year before. It moved all around last year. And a big thing I think with him right now is that he missed rookie camp, or he missed development camp, he missed rookie camp, and then he joined the team when the full training camp started due to a groin injury. So he's still probably working his way back up from that, and that's why we're not quite seeing what we want to see quite yet, the highlight reel stuff that we've seen. But we've seen him make solid plays on both sides of the puck, and that's really all we're asking for from a Flyers center. Last year, we were like, all right, let's just get a replacement level center so we can see what these wings can do. And at the very least, that's what Jett Luchanko is. Jett Luchanko makes the right play on both sides of the puck. He's a one-man zone exit, zone entry. He can help out on the second power play. He can help out on the penalty kill. That's why I don't have a problem if you're going to bring him up to start the season and have him on the fourth line. Have him on the fourth line with a Garnett Hathaway, who we know is one of the best fourth liners for what he does in the league, whether it's Rodrigo Abels or Gurbenkin or even Nick Delorier on the left side. I think having Luchanko there gives you that extra bump there that you want on the fourth line. And then a big thing is also throughout the season, let's say the Flyers are playing well. They're in a playoff spot. Suddenly in December, a top six center gets hurt. Who are you going to put up there? You're going to put up Abels or Carson Dorwart or Gaucher or the Rizzler, Massimo Rizzo, who's been nothing. You're going to want Luchanko. You know what? Maybe if he's not even playing that well by December, he got his feet wet. He knows what he has to do at the NHL level. You can put him on the second line between a Konechny and a Tippett, and that could be a great line that they do the offensive work. He does the two-way work. And the big thing is, if he starts in the OHL, you can't call him up unless there's emergency conditions, which rarely ever happen. If you start him in the NHL, you can send him down at any point before the 9 games, after the 9 games. Maybe you take him to Christmas, let him go play World Juniors, and even go back to the OHL after that. So I don't think this is a case where you're necessarily rushing Jett Luchanko. I don't think his ceiling is that high, but his floor is that high. And this isn't the same situation when Sean Couturier started with the team when he was 18, but he's the captain now. And if they want to do that with Luchanko, Briere was on that team with Couturier. So that's the GM and the captain know what it's all about. They can kind of, get him along, and hopefully they can use their 13th forward on somebody that they can rotate in for Luchanko, like Abels or Gurbenkin, to keep that going there. So I think there's no rushing him, and the only way for him to grow is to learn on the fly, figure out what he can do. And most importantly, I think, is figuring out what he is heading into next off season. You need to know next off season, okay, Jett Luchanko can be a 3C. you can use that to go out and get big fish and know what you're getting, rather than having this conversation again next year of what is Jett Luchanko. So we got to find out what Jett Luchanko is. The Flyers have always needed the center, and I think they have one here. So they need to start Jett Luchanko in the NHL. If you send him down at some point, that's fine, but give him the shot. You can send him down. You can't call him back up.
Huh. I am still torn. I am still absolutely torn. Like, I can see both sides on this. Joe, do you have any rebuttals to what Gilbs just argued?
He said we got to know what Jett Luchanko is. Do we? He's 19. Like, I don't care what Jett Luchanko is right now. I care what he's going to be in 2 or 3 years. He also mentioned Carson Dorwart and Rodrigo Abols. Abols has been killing it in camp. At time of recording, he's slated to get another preseason game. They're taking a long, hard look at Abols. And then Dorwart is a new addition to the organization as well. They signed him last year out of college. If one of the centers on the team does go down with injury, I have no problem calling up Dorwart to see what he has. He's older. He's probably closer to being what he is at an NHL level. I'd rather see that and let Luchanko just cook for an entire season in one spot instead of being yo-yoed around all the time.
I'm not gonna lie, neither of those guys moved the bar for me at all. Neither of those guys moved the bar for me remotely. I'm not one of those Rodrigo stands out there. I think he's fine, and I feel the same way about Dorwart, where, you know, Jett is a very compelling player to me, mainly for the speed. And I don't mind him. You mentioned third, fourth line. Fourth line is a vastly different situation for him than third line for me, where third line, I'm like, oh no, third line's great. I think actually I'd love to see him on the third line. Where fourth line, I feel like that's a bit of a waste right there. Now, Gilbs I know for me personally, I don't really think Abols or Dorwart really move the needle, or the Rizzler or anybody that you mentioned. How about you? Any of those guys, like, does that change your consideration here?
No, they don't. You're making the argument for me here, Steve. Both sides, man. They don't move the needle for me either. Like, I love Rodrigo. He's a 4C. My argument is like, if Sean Couturier or Trevor Zegras goes down, you're not putting Abols on that line and not missing a beat. You can maybe do that with Luchanko. And yeah, I think, we all agree on this. If you could go to the AHL, that would be the best option. But I just think the NHL, even if he is playing limited minutes, he's still around the team, practicing, learning from the guys. I don't think him being yo-yoed around, even if he goes from the Flyers to World Juniors back to Guelph after that, or another team, like, would be too big of an issue. We don't have to know what he is yet, but if next summer is going to be the big summer they're shooting for, you can't have this question mark hanging over the team like we had with Morgan Frost for so long. Like, what is this guy? Like, we need to know more of what Luchanko can do besides 4 games under John Tortorella. And also, Noah Cates was not the healthy scratch. He was the odd man out. They just wanted to get Luchanko in. I hate when we bring that
up. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Now, I think I have a decision. Gilbs, one very quick question for you. If they could guarantee a trade to another OHL team, would that change your feelings?
It would change my feelings. I still think I would want to see him with the NHL team, at least to start. Maybe it's just like, all right, let's see how he plays in the first few weeks. But I would still be with, if you put him on the London Knights or whoever, still keep him with the Flyers.
Okay. Well, I don't have a gavel, so my fist is going to have to do. So yeah, I think I've made my decision, and it mostly has to do with the quality of the team he'd be going back to in the OHL. And that's the Guelph Storm, which just sounds gross to say. I don't like it. I've never liked it. I never will like it. But I have been told time and time again that this team is trash, that this is a just bad hockey team that he'd be going back to. And for a player with the hockey sense of Jett Luchanko, I feel very much that it's a waste to send him back there. If I could be guaranteed a trade to another team, you could talk me into the OHL, I think. But I do not like his growth potential for going back to the Guelph Storm as it is. So I think I have to side with Mr. Gilbert here. I like Jett Luchanko. I know, Joe, I think you had a great argument, Joe. I think mainly pointing out that they do have a lot of depth. There's a lot of mouths to feed already, and he's probably going to get bottom 6 minutes. That is compelling to me, but Gilbert brought up the fact that Sean Couturier had a situation kind of like that, where, you know, Sean Couturier's first couple of years, he gets to come up in those defensive roles in the bottom 6. And I know some people could say that was a hindrance, but he did eventually find his offensive game, and he never had speed like Jett Luchanko, where I think that's a great asset that this team could use, especially if injuries do happen, and they likely will happen. And the fact of the matter is, when you look at speed on this team, it's Owen Tippett, maybe a little bit of Travis Konecny, and not a ton else. So I think I'm going with Gilbert, but that with a caveat here that if they could facilitate a guaranteed trade in the OHL, I would be open to sending him back. It's all about that development at the end of the day, and I think he has more to learn at a professional level than with the Guelph Storm.
Fair enough.
Fair enough, indeed. So, gentlemen, any parting thoughts from you before we call it on this what are we calling this again? This is BSH Debates right here. So as we
Work
end
in
this
progress.
BSH Debates, Joe, what final thought?
I'm not convinced. I still think he should go back to the OHL. I know maybe we'll get lucky and they'll change the CBA at the last minute and he's allowed to go to the Phantoms. I'm not holding my breath, but no, I still think he's got to go be the guy on a team in the OHL, because I think that's where he should be.
Fair enough. Gilb's final thoughts from you.
Yeah, no, I feel like that was a good first debate there. I feel like it was a bit of a loaded question, kind of leaning my way, just with, like you said, how boring the Flyers have been. But Joe, fantastic arguments there. I look.
Joe almost got me.
It
was close. He almost got me. Yes.
Yeah.
But
a handshake.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Great job, gentlemen. That's your hands shaking right there in an awkward
Thank
way
you.
that they would never shake. But yeah, fantastic first debate. We're going to keep this up. We're going to tweak the format. So leave replies on how you like this and what you'd like to see in the future. Appreciate all of you. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Much appreciated there. And yeah, we're going to have a lot more videos coming out this season. So please hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much, folks, and we'll see you next time.